Microsoft and Xbox has had a strong couple of weeks. Oblivion Remastered was practically shadow dropped, with 4 million players trying out the new game. Expedition 33, which Microsoft helped this indie studio with its marketing and development, had 1 million sales in 3 days. And Doom: The Dark Ages is only a couple weeks away. So you know those corpos over at Microsoft wanted to celebrate, with some high fives in the boardroom, a couple bottles of champagne, and an NFL-sized punt to the groins of gamers worldwide. Following Microsoft's third quarter financial report, Microsoft announced that it'll be raising the prices of its hardwares, some accessories, and games in the US and worldwide. We are talking an $80 increase in the Xbox Series S, over a $100 increase in the Xbox Series X, and some games being shipped at $80 this holiday season? Oh man. I mean, we did a video pretty much a month ago on Nintendo's pricing choices, and the blowback that they've received for what they price at the Switch 2, as well as in this $80 move for some of its first-party titles with Mario Kart. So in obvious Microsoft fashion, having some good news run down the pipe, they saw Nintendo getting all this heat and said, hey, we want to get in on that action. And thus Microsoft proceeded to show its love and affection for General Greed. Let me just start off with talking about the Xbox console. As stated earlier, Microsoft made these price announcements following its third quarter financial report, showing that gaming revenue broke records this past third quarter, being up 5%, bringing in over $5.7 billion in revenue. Then to have the absolute tone deafness to announce these prices increases across its hardware and future games, putting out a statement to IGN saying, we understand that these changes are challenging, and they were made with careful consideration given market conditions and rising cost of development. Looking ahead, we continue to focus on offering more ways to play more games across any screen and ensuring value for Xbox players. Now there's a lot to digest here, and similar concepts that I mentioned in our Nintendo video 1 month ago, which I will put in the end screen. But let's start with the console itself. It has been an absolute struggle for Microsoft over the past year to 2 years of selling its consoles. And even this past quarter, with revenue being way up, hardwares were down 6%. And with these price increases, I don't see how it gets any better. The Xbox Series S being raised $80 to now $380 on the market, $20 less than a Steam Deck. And the Xbox Series X going up $100 with the 2TB Galaxy Edition now being priced at $730, more than the PS5 Pro. Xbox and Microsoft have really shown that number one, their biggest care is being a game publisher. You know this from them releasing games now on the PS5 and potentially the Switch 2, and porting some of the older games to what used to be competing platforms. The Xbox console and console gamers to them really does feel second fiddle. And I know we're going to talk about those conditions, the tariffs, and we are in the US probably going through the dumbest trade war on the planet, and Microsoft is trying to offset some of these costs globally because it's affecting their number one market in the US. But what was once a really hard challenge to sell their consoles this generation feels like an even harder one now. And I'm surprised they didn't try to eat more of this cost. But this could also affect the second part of this story, which I'll address in a minute, and that's Xbox Game Pass. We know from previous reports, at least when they actually share Game Pass numbers, the majority of the Game Pass users are on the console. And pricing out a bunch of people from buying your console takes away potential Game Pass subscribers. Then we have to obviously address raising the price of games from $70 to $80. And we saw this again from the Nintendo about a month ago, pricing the Mario Kart at $80, tap dancing around the reasons that it's variable prices and only some titles, and lo and behold, Xbox following with them, trying to take the title of douchebag of the week by saying, yes, some titles will also be $80. And we know it'll be all the big guns, so expect the Call of Duties to be $80, the next Halo to be $80, and if it sells well, guess what? They'll make all the games that way. I won't dive into a full rant, as you can see my Nintendo video on addressing the $70 to $80, but I will reiterate, it was 14 years it took from the standard price of video games to be $60 to $70 from 2006 to 2020. In 5 years, we are making that move from $70 to $80. And I bring up that comment that Microsoft gave to IGN. And I quote, looking ahead, we continue to focus on offering more ways to play more games across any screen and ensuring value for Xbox players. And that's the big word, value. So in those 5 years that we moved from $70 to $80, gamers, where is the increased value? We know about development costs going up, and instead of maybe pulling back on some of the graphic fidelity or pulling back on a little bit of marketing, we're decided to ramp up those prices to increase our profit margins. And the additional value is what? Will the games now be required to give multiple modes, one for quality and performance? Will that performance mode finally have consistent 60 FPS with high fidelity? Will these new $80 games give us more expansive worlds, unique gameplay designs? Where is the value coming from? And again, it's just the tone deafness that is so flooring here. Microsoft is coming off a record-setting third quarter. Like, yes, the hardware is down, but their gaming services are up. Game revenue is up and made over $5.7 billion. The only silver lining we got was that Game Pass prices did not also increase. But that probably has more to do that it was increased 7 months ago in September. And even Microsoft says we can't get that greedy. But don't be surprised if in the fall and the winter, Game Pass prices will also go up. The arguments people make is that, hey, people will cry about it but pay the price anyway. And that could be true. The excuses people make will how the development costs continue to go up. And it's true, but these companies are racking in record profits. That is a hard sell when you're racking in this kind of money and telling us we need to increase the price to keep us afloat. And I said this in my last video, but I feel for the console gamers. Even when it comes to Xbox, the console gamer pays more for Game Pass than the PC players. And let's just say, okay, I want to do a lesser tier of Game Pass, get the online because we have to pay for it for some damn reason, and then I can purchase some of the big AAA games that I see fit because those titles in the standard edition aren't automatically in your catalog. Now that price is also increased. It's like this hatred for the console gamer just makes no sense. Listen, like I said about Nintendo, I play a ton of Xbox. I review a ton of their games. But when one of your favorite platforms or gaming companies does something stupid, you need to call them out for it. You need to smack them aside the head, just like I did with Nintendo, and I'll do that for Xbox. And don't be shocked in a couple weeks when Sony has their financial report and they're seeing the greediness from Nintendo and Xbox, that they're not going to want to come flying from the top rope to join in on this party. It's unfortunate that yes, gaming is a luxury hobby, but gaming is one of the best hobbies that I think in the world. And to price so many people out when wages aren't going up quickly because of greedy corporations and stupid trade policies, that the gamers are the ones that are really going to suffer. And for me, and for the gamers that are listening to this right now, the only way to combat greed in gaming is both with your words to bring awareness, but sincerely with your wallet. If these games aren't expansive, they're not worth $80. If they're not innovative, they're not worth $80. We have seen games priced at less than $80, hell, less than $70, that have been Game of the Year candidates, and those should be rewarded. Will there be an $80 worth game? I'm sure. They need to show that increased value. Don't just tell me because costs are up, when you're racking in this kind of revenue, when you're cutting all these developers. We won't be like those psycho fans who, because it's my team, I'm going to make excuses on why it should be this way, why the prices should go up, why because they tell us it's valuable, that it is valuable. The Marsman crew tells it like it is, and we're going to fight greed in gaming till our dying breath. Thank you everyone for watching. Let us know your thoughts on the Xbox price increases, and check out our last greed in gaming video on Nintendo's price choices for the Switch 2 and Mario Kart. This is Frank from Marsman Gaming, signing off. Game on.